Hello, once again, it's Damon with Damon's List. In this case, yeah, I know it's been a while since I did the list, but I'll do a list of incredibly dumb takes in entertainments. Could be wrestling, could be video games based, could be music based, could be wrestling based. And they're not in order. It might be chronological order, but there's not in particular one that would give you number one there. So but I'll give you something. For example, 1960s, a producer basically thought that they looked at the looks of a certain guy that you might have known from, basically John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison, and said, you know what? You guys are marketable. I can tell you this. You guys will not make it big. I don't remember the producer's name, but to me, it's like epic fail. Maybe, to his credit, maybe from his experience, people or groups like the Beatles or resemble the Beatles in terms of look, appearance. Maybe in his gut his instinct was they were going to make it, but they didn't realize that times were changing. And yeah, that's a fail on many, many levels. And that's a really hot to bad take to do. And it seems like entertainment, it seems like or gaming or music, it's like a lot of people like have bad takes. When you really look at it, a lot of them are bad takes. I just imagine they have to live with those bad takes thinking, hey, I used to think that. Case in point, in 1977, basically Fox executives basically decided, you know what, we're gonna let some schmuck basically try to run a movie, a sci-fi movie. I don't know, I think it's called Star Wars. And we're gonna let this guy keep all the rights to his characters. Thinking he probably was gonna show that movie and it's probably gonna flop. And look what happened. It might have been the first blockbuster, but let's be honest, it basically led to the birth of the summer blockbusters. Beforehand, it was basically most movies were all year long, and the blockbuster, or sorry, the box office was around the same as usual. And there was not a season more than the others. And the one good thing back then is basically the movies that were nominated the Oscars were actually movies that most people had seen. But the blockbuster got popularized because of Star Wars, A New Hope. And imagine if the guy didn't do this. Yeah, you watch Jaws, you have Spielberg, you have Lucas, but it's like, what else? I mean, I always look for, usually summer blockbusters is something to look forward to. And to me, it's indicative of a year. If a year you don't have many summer blockbusters that you look forward to, it's usually a year that might not be really satisfying in terms of movies. Just saying, from my experience. I'm not saying there's not exceptions or years that are not exceptional, but usually I find it to be the case. Now, another bad take. You would think, I don't know, I mean, you're expecting a company that's basically an association of a company who's always used to basically having wrestlers be legitimate. There's Lutez, Nick Bockwinkel, and you're allergic to having big, beefy wrestlers as world champion. That's right, AEW, sorry, AWA, sorry, AWA. Why? Because if Vern Gagne let Hogan be world champion, maybe Hogan would have moved to WWE. Maybe the Hulkamania basically movement would have started in AEW, would have stayed in AEW. And I'm not saying that WWE would have been affected, but WWE would be deprived of its biggest babyface. But Vern Gagne thought that basically wrestling only appealed to people who can do a key lock. And guess what? I'm not trying to say I want somebody who's botching like crazy, but I bet a lot of people would say, I don't look that much into wrestling skills as people think. If it was the case, let's be honest, I like The Rock, but The Rock wasn't the best wrestler in the world. Foley was very good, but by the time he's in WWE, there's a lot of things he slowed down on. I mean, you look at the WWE roster at its peak, at Attitude or Golden Era, some of them, I'm not saying they weren't talented when were let off, basically, when they can actually let off the cuff, but it's not about wrestling skills, it's about doing it long term. And it's about character build. And basically, your moves has to actually complement your character. And to say Hogan could have been champion, look what happened. He went to WWE, went to, oh, by the way, another bad take would be Vince McMahon Sr. saying, hey, wrestlers and movies don't mix. Well, let's be honest. Rocky 3 aided basically Hogan to get more of eyes on him, eyes on the product, and basically eyes on wrestling indirectly. So in a way, that was also a bad take. I'm in the 80s, so now it's important to have another bad take. What happens if your best superhero that you know is being played by a guy who's mostly done comedies? And the moment it happens, fans basically cried like little babies and tried to basically send basically hate mail to a movie studio saying we will not watch a movie under any capacity. What could that be? I don't know. Back in the 80s, Michael Keaton was known to making Mr. Mom, basically The Squeeze, Johnny Dangerously, and did a little great movie from Tim Burton called Beetlejuice. And it still amazes me that the movie immediately after doing Beetlejuice with Tim Burton, the next movie they did was also with Tim Burton and it's Batman. Oh, he's probably going to cast the Joker. No, he's Batman. And people lost their collective thoughts there. It's like, oh my God, is it a mistake? It's a joke? Why is Michael Keaton Batman? He doesn't fit Batman. I mean, he's too tall. They were saying, what, too short, too balding to be Batman? He's gonna be too funny. And look what happened. Look what happened. He's now, no, now today is basically seen as a definitive Batman live action if it's not for Christian Bale. And basically, to me, they're both tied. But at least I can say with Christian Bale, he finished his trilogy. I would have loved for Michael Keaton to have the trilogy in. But again, I mind you, people thought Michael Keaton did not fit the bill. And in my opinion, who would have fit the bill then? Hmm? The point of Tim Burton, the reason why I like it, basically Tim Burton was a smaller guy, basically was still in good shape, but not super muscular, so that nobody could tell he's Batman. And Michael Keaton played Bruce Wayne as aloof, like a guy who doesn't know what's going on. Christian Bale played him as basically an eccentric billionaire, and basically the eccentric billionaire was Bruce Wayne's mask in the Nolan trilogy. But in the Tim Burton duology, it's Bruce Wayne seems to be aloof of what's going on. So yeah, again, people always seem to have bad takes sometimes, and it's just in terms of it can be fans as well. It's not just producers. But speaking of which, producer, I nearly forgot. Producers thought that nobody would like to bang their head rocking to a song that comes out basically with operatic themes or operatic nuances that talk about Scaramouche, Scaramouche. That's right. Queen was seen as a movement, basically a music movement that wasn't going to make it big. And see what happens now. We remember Queen, we remember the Beatles because they were different. They dared to be different. In today's age, especially with auto tunes, I like to be able to say I recognize that voice. It takes talent to deploy that voice. Nowadays, it feels like everybody can make music. I mean, don't get me wrong. The song might be catchy, but if I hear mystical, magical Benson's music, Benson Boone's music again, I'm gonna scream. And let's be honest, that song is basically a ripoff of Physical from Olivia John Newton. Oh, sorry, Olivia Newton-John. But yeah, I like that originality. Same for Queens. But again, that was tangent. Then go back to the 90s. There's other things that basically are stupid. I mean, could be stupid as saying a guy wearing black trunks, black boots, black tape will never get over, especially if he's bald and have a goatee. You can guess where it goes, huh? Of course. Of course. I'm talking about the Warlord. The Warlord would have been the main eventer of all main eventers. Heck, as the Lapsand would say, he's the first ever coming of Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's right, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Talk about this. People basically in WWE thought the guy would about to be a nothing happening guy. Nothing happening guy. Look what happened to this. I swear, sometimes the dumbest takes like can happen from the smartest people at times. Like Eric Bischoff is very smart. People can say this, he's very smart, but what the hell, man? You know? And for Stone Cold to make it big, I've seen him basically wrestle live in his prime, basically. And yeah, I'm very, very surprised sometimes that people are dumbfounded at the fact that nobody would see something in WCW about Steve Austin, yet look at him now. So yeah, other takes are stupid. Okay, now go basically at bat the 90s. Could say if people thought Foley would be good as champion, I thought it was ridiculous about that. You want to know another bad take? That's maybe game based. How about a video game system? I mean, the Super Nintendo made it big. How about a video game system that only has two colors? And it's a video game system that's going to be expensive, and you cannot play more than 30 minutes without getting a headache. That's right, the Virtual Boy. That's the dumbest of all time. Usually I hate the of all time hyperbolic because that's what it is. It's hyperbolic. But this one is the dumbest system of all time. You're gonna buy, I think it was like $400 to basically have a headache after 20 minutes? Was Nintendo thinking or smoking something before proposing that? Now I'm gonna move on. We're gonna move on to another piece of casting that's very, very interesting. What if I were to tell you we're gonna cast a Joker? And for this, we're gonna cast a guy who basically played in a lot of romantic comedies and played a cowboy. And the entire fans that love him now, or a lot of them, not everybody, I'm not pinpointing you guys, but a lot of them, not most, but a lot of them who love him now can basically say that the movie director, made a huge mistake. That's right, I'm talking about Heath Ledger being the Joker. Now everybody says how great he is, and he is. And we'll let people besmirch his performance, but a lot of people at times, like we're saying, is Nolan crazy? Christopher Nolan crazy? I mean, 10 Things I Hate About You, A Knight's Tale, Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain. That's all he did that was interesting. And See What Happened. He did other interesting movies. Let's be honest. He did also The Patriots and Monsters Balls, but you know what I mean. Those the three movies I mentioned. There were three movies that people mostly remember him for before The Dark Knight. And See What Happened. A magnetic performance. The only thing that's a shame is that Christian Bale feels his own the performance disappointing because he wasn't as eye-catching as Joker, but nobody can be. Batman has to be stoic, whereas the Joker has to be the antithesis of that. I I really laugh when I hear actors doing this. I'm saying, do you not know who Batman is? Batman is not always the most exciting person. He's a brooding kind of psychopath, but the Joker is anarchic, is lively, is out of nowhere, and he's always more exciting than Batman. Always was. And if it's not, there's a problem. So there's a reason why people keep praising this performance to this day, because it's like it could have easily gone sideways, and people kept comparing. He always had the pressure of living up to Jack Nicholson's standards back then. It's like Jack Nicholson would be top, and let's be honest, he's still at the top. But to me, Heath Ledger beat it because Heath Ledger was basically an anarchic, whatever, an anarchist version of the Joker. He wasn't the comic book Joker, but he's still a version of it. Whereas Jack Nicholson was a criminal, Jack Nicholson-y version of Jack Nicholson as a Joker. If that makes any sense, still awesome, but let's be honest, it's Jack Nicholson. So yeah, and yet people complain about that. I still remember to this day. But let's be honest, let's not get off the hook about the Batman thing, because Lord and Below, that seems to be a lot of people having bad takes on it. For example, people complain about Ben Affleck being the next Batman. It's like, I don't see him as Batman. He can't do it. He was in Dogma. He can't be Batman. And look what happened. Granted, the movies could have been better, but in Justice League, I thought the Zack Snyder's Justice League, I thought it was badass there. And he's really able to convey what Batman's supposed to be. I still say he's nowhere near Christian Bale or Michael Keaton, but he was very good. But in Warner Brothers' brilliance, they decided to follow up Heath Ledger with an actor that actually won a Best Supporting Actor for Dallas Buyers Club, and let's be honest, he won for a very good performance. But since that, the guy's been coasting on his past good performances, and it's like people don't forget that he won those performances. It actually was good performance because he was never the main lead. He was always a supporting lead. I'm talking about Jared Leto, the worst live action Joker ever. Let us be honest. Warner Brothers thought it's a good idea. And that's one of the few times though that you feel like you don't have the good feeling. It's not going to be a good performance, and you see this like, uh. So yeah, Jared Leto would be a bad take from basically whoever decided to hire him for that. I said it wasn't done with the Batman thing. Remember basically the Twilight kid? He can never act. He could never be a good actor. I mean, he's always going to be remembered for as being Edward from Twilight. Except he played in Good Times. Except he played in Tenet. Except he played in the drama. Except he played in the Batman. And he's going to be on basically. He's also going to be in the Odyssey. That's right. Robert Pattinson. I too was like, I'm not sure him as a Batman. I thought my sister, she was laughing. It's like I know it's your favorite character, Damon, but you're gonna be stuck with him as your Batman. It's like then you watch it, and it was good. He's a pretty good at Batman. I don't like him as much as Bruce Wayne because basically the same thing, but it's like it was good. Again, I thought the Batman was a good movie, a tad bit overrated. Because if it was 2 hours and a half, I would actually put it just below The Dark Knight. But the other last half of the movie, the last half hour had to happen, so it decreased it. But it has nothing to do with Robert Pattinson. It was very good as Batman. And I'm intrigued with the second one. I just want it to happen. And yeah, those are my bad takes. And sometimes hilarious takes I've heard of this. Maybe I'm missing a few. It's just a tangent on mine. I just wanted you to share it. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, have a good one. Bye.